So this is an extraordinary group of animated shorts. I mean, really an amazing year. Just beautiful, emotional work. So original, so original. So we'll take a few minutes and go through each film, and I'm just excited to hear what you guys have to say. Um, well, Daria with Daughter. This was such an emotional piece, and it seemed really personal. It's one I truly related to, having a dad who was uncomfortable with daughters. Um, you know, your use of such rapid motion gave this stop motion film such an immediacy. It was just really stunning. I'm just curious, you know, how you achieved that and what brought about that sort of decision.
This decision came to me when I wrote the script, and when I wrote it, I was thinking that it is going to be drama, and also as I really like to watch live action movies, and I was thinking what drama means for me, and the answer came to me that it is films by Lars von Trier, by Dogma, by Winterberg, or by Darden Brothers. So I was thinking what the aesthetic they use for this film, for their films, and I started to think about handheld camera movement, about this documentary style. So I decided that it could work for my story really good, and I was very inspired by this idea to make handheld camera movement in my stop motion film, but after I really didn't know how I'm going to make it. But yeah, it was quite tricky to find a way. Actually, it is my student film, and we didn't have budget. We didn't have kind of motion control or this stuff. So I had to find a way how to make it using a really simple camera track and camera mount. So I made some tests and I found a way how to make this camera movement manually. And actually, I moved the camera frame by frame
Amazing.
using actually references as a reference films by Lars von Trier. And yeah, and um, after I just understood and made it more intuitively, this camera movement, and maybe consciously, I delayed the camera to make it more documentary. And yeah, it was like
Yeah, wonderful. And it's funny that the delicate moves of having the camera off the shoulder, just catching a bit of the eye, could still convey so much, so much. A really beautiful story of a father and a daughter. You have a background as a sound designer, and the soundscape on this was exquisite as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
yeah, I studied as a sound designer. I played the piano before, and actually, when I write the script, I also hear this film. When I animate the film, I hear this. And when we were thinking about collaboration with sound designer, I was thinking, why should I explain someone how it is how I want to have it if I have it in my head. So it was easier to make kind of rough sound mix by myself. So I made it by myself, and my classmate helped me to make it more like cinema mix to make the final mix. So yeah, and actually um, I didn't use kind of Foley records. I went to the street with a recorder. I went to the train station, or I recorded sounds in my kitchen. So it was also kind of documentary, and I really wanted to make it dirty, to make it more documentary feeling. And it was funny when I made this rough mix, it was dirty. And when my classmate asked me sometimes, oh, maybe I should use denoiser because it is kind of dirty. And I told, no, 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 I really like it.
Yeah.
Please really keep these noises and every stuff. And so it was kind of intention to make it.
Yeah, yeah. So much storytelling was just told with the sound.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
really, really a wonderful achievement. Really amazing. Um, yeah, right? Exquisite movie. Matthew and Karen with Hair Love. This movie's really getting a lot of attention, a lot of well-deserved praise. Um, it's so funny, it's so charming, and it's ultimately really heartwarming. Can you talk a little bit about the subject matter of hair vlogging and why? I mean, so many we all connect to it somehow. I've never heard of hair vlogging before, but I'm old, so
Yeah, the natural hair vlogging and, in the black community, it's a kind of a big thing, with the advent of YouTube. It just kind of made it a lot easier to, if you have different styles you want to try, it's kind of a whole movement online. And, a couple years ago in 2017, I had come across all these viral videos of black fathers that were doing their daughter's hair, and it just felt so cute and charming. But it was also this weird thing because, I think people oftentimes give dads extra credit for doing just normal stuff their parents should do, and 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 mom does it as kind of whatever. But if a dad does, like, oh my God, he's so cute and amazing, and and it felt like a good opportunity to just to try to normalize that. I know I have a lot. I'm not a father myself, but it was kind of a love letter to my future daughter, and also just I have a lot of friends that are young fathers, and just really wanted to do something that really showed them in a positive light. So often in mainstream media, black men and black fathers get such a bad rap, and they're rarely seen. And also to really represent a black family in animation. In 2017, Spider-Verse hadn't come out yet, and I think in the only movies I remember seeing a black family in animation were like Bebe's Kids, Princess and the Frog, and Home. And it just felt like a really good opportunity to showcase characters that young kids could see themselves in. Media is really powerful when you don't see yourself and don't see characters that look like you and have hair that looks like you and the same type of nose and complexion. It can really make you wonder if you're less than. And so this was just kind of something we try to do for people out there that don't normally see themselves represented.
yeah, yeah, it's great. Just really great. Um, Karen, well, I know that Bruce was involved in this, co-directed with you, and Peter Ramsey of Sony. Karen, can you tell us how Sony got involved with Matthew on this movie?
Yeah, and Matthew's sort of a joy because he came, did the Kickstarter, raised all the money, and then had a following of like an audience online that was like rooting for him. And you saw the credits at the end, like, yes, there were like 1,500 or so Kickstarters that were part of it. So he was a dream come true in terms of filmmakers already kind of having their built-in money and marketing. But so we brought on, to kind of really build, because Matthew had never done animation before, and sort of kudos to both Bruce Smith and Everett Downing, who are co-directors with him.
Bruce is here tonight.
And Stacey Newton, one of my producing partners who came from Pixar, was sort of really understanding when we kind of brought the high bar, how we were going to really make this just beautiful and really kind of put it all together. So I was doing it sort of as a producer on the side, because I had my day job was an executive at Sony, and my side hustle was trying to produce this movie. And so we were doing it, and again, kudos to Sony Pictures for just sort of letting us do that. And then they sort of got wind of like what we were doing, and were really proud of it, And so I was just really grateful that they, not only kind of gave us a little bit of money, gave us some resources to finish it, but also gave us the opportunity to put it in front of Angry Birds so that it could qualify. And it was just amazing, because I think Spider-Verse was sort of the first foray into sort of just showing diverse storytelling, and I think they really understood what this meant. And again, it's not easy, it's not hard when he does all the financing on his own. But
Thank you to the Kickstarter backers.
Yeah.
If you're
But,
out there, your stuff is in the mail. I promise.
But no, it was a dream come true in terms of just them being able to partner with us.
Yeah, and now it's a best-selling book. It's on the New York Times best-selling like top 5 of kids'
Yeah.
books. Yeah,
It's insane.
great. Congratulations. That's great.
Thank you.
Awesome. So Rosanna And Catherine of Kitbull. This movie really spoke to me. I'm an animal lover. I loved it. I stay up late watching animal videos just to calm down as
Fellow
well.
spirit. Thank you.
I could really see that in there, all the details of the little kitten. I mean, we've all seen that when they flip. Anyway, it's really wonderful. But I know it was inspired by that. But then the where you took it was a very poignant and darker direction. Ultimately, very heartwarming. Can you talk a little bit about why and how you made that transition?
Yeah, so just for full transparency, it did start as extreme indulgence in my love for cat videos and animal videos, but also, I originally had sought out to study to become a veterinarian, so that passion for animal behavior and observing that has always been there with me. And so as I worked on it over the years and eventually asked Kat Hendrickson to be my producer, when it was still completely independent on the side while we also had our day jobs. Not easy, but we still were burning the midnight oil with that. And eventually when I showed it to my peers at Pixar, they're fellow storytellers, and they all have extremely high standards, and all of them, each of us always trying to find the truth to the work we do. One of them asked me, what is it that's so personal about this? Why are you telling this story? Because as fun as these cat shenanigans are, like, where is the story? And when I really looked at it, I realized, okay, it was something. There was something there about empathy. There was something there about connection that, even from the very beginning, I'd always been exploring. But when I really looked at what I could pour into it for myself, there's this struggle I've always had, just with social anxiety and shyness, and this feeling of disconnect and isolation, but wanting to find connection, wanting to truly connect with other people, but not knowing how. That's what I realized was the heart of the story. And working once again, like I said, studying to become a veterinarian. You hear about the stories of a lot of animals, especially in shelters, and that's when I learned more about pit bulls, and when I learned about, as well as black cats, and how oftentimes it's really hard for them to be adopted. And so I just wanted to kind of explore a lot of those themes in this really really short. And with the help of our awesome editor who's here in the audience, Katie Schaefer Bishop, she was able to help wrangle an 18-minute short into a 9-minute short. So thank you, Katie, and thank you, Kat, for bringing that to life.
Yeah, and Catherine, so this movie, the short is 2D from Pixar.
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
this is a
Who would have
studio.
thought, right?
Yeah, they're not known for that, and I understand that you also created kind of a unique pipeline to make this.
We
happen.
did, and that was one of the most exciting parts of this project for me. And, Rosie, you could speak to why you wanted to pursue 2D from a storytelling point of view. But once I knew that that was what Rosie wanted to do, we were able to go to the executive team, explain our reasoning, and they said, "That's great. You have 6 months, and here's your budget. Let's see what you can do." And so, with that in mind, it became really important to us to leverage as much of Pixar's pipeline and technology that was already in place. And so, one thing that we did that was hugely beneficial for us was we had our art team quickly mock up our set in a 3D model. We dropped a camera in there like we would do a layout scout for any one of our features. Rosie was able to scout the set, figure out the best shots for storytelling purposes, and that was kind of our rough draft that we were able to pass off to our background painters and our 2D animators, so both of those departments could work in tandem, and then we were able to bring it all together in compositing, and it ended up coming out beautifully. So good job, Rosie.
Thank you. Good job, Kat. And just to the 2D nature of it, Pixar was known for revolutionizing like the CG animation, and some might argue killing 2D in some ways, but I don't think so. But still, you could see the CG go up and the 2D start to become less present in the mainstream market. And we weren't the first to start experimenting with 2D. Teddy Newton was the first with Day and Night at Pixar, and then Your Friend the Rat as well. And then For me, I wanted to do 2D because it was my first love. It's, growing up, as we all did, watching Disney features, Japanese animation, European animation, is such beauty and purity in the hand-drawn animation. And also I felt that the kitten could not have been animated any other way than 2D, because just like every drawing is unpredictable and not the same, the kitten is also unpredictable. So
Yeah, it's true. He's so cute, it makes my teeth hurt.
thank you.
Yeah, this
Thank you.
return to 2D. This could be the year that we see a 2D animated feature win an Oscar. It's quite possible. So, memorable from France. I know, Jean-Francois, you're going to be translating a little bit
Yes.
for Bruno.
Thank you.
Oh, this
You're welcome, my dear.
This film was so moving and devastating, and such an homage to art, to painting, from the impressionistic, from the Van Gogh, even to the paint just dissolving at the end with his memory. Can you talk a little bit about how that style, why that worked for you for this film? What was the inspiration?
Je voulais effectivement traiter de la maladie Alzheimer vu le nombre de personnes qui étaient touchées, avec un côté très roulette russe. Ça tombait au hasard sur des gens. Et je me suis dit comment parler de cette maladie. Et je me suis dit je veux me placer dans la tête d'un malade.
Bruno wanted to write and to direct a film about Alzheimer, but he wanted to put the audience inside the head of a person who is suffering of Alzheimer.
Et en tant qu'ancien diplômé d'école d'art, je me suis dit je vais choisir un peintre. Ça va être beaucoup plus facile pour moi de me glisser dans la peau du malade.
He's graduated from an art school in France, and for him, he believed that it will be easier to create this character of painter, of artist, to try to put himself in this head.
En partant du concept que, avec cette maladie, ce qu'on a mangé hier, on s'en souvient pas, mais les vieux souvenirs sont toujours présents.
And when you have this kind of disease, this illness, you don't remember what you had 1 hour ago, but you can remember old souvenirs.
Et quand la maladie devient vraiment très très importante, tous ces anciens amours, dont son amour de l'art, de tous ces artistes qu'il a aimés, remontent à la surface et viennent remplir cette vie où tout le reste a disparu.
And when the illness become harder, all your souvenirs, especially all the painter, all the artists you loved, came back to the memory, to the last memory of the painter.
Il fallait juste faire attention que ça ne devienne pas un film d'histoire de l'art.
But he didn't want to write a film that could be a kind of treaty of history of art.
Où le spectateur va se dire ah ben maintenant ça va être ceci, ça va être tel artiste.
And the audience will spend more time to discover who was the artist he talked about more than the story.
Donc j'ai pris une dizaine d'artistes et puis j'ai tout mélangé.
He took 10 references and he mixed all the references.
Voilà. Donc il y en a qu'on voit, il y en a qu'on voit moins.
You can have some kind of evidences, but there is more specific detail that it's more difficult to discover the reference.
Mais avant tout ça reste, ce n'est pas un film sur l'art, c'est un film sur l'amour.
But for Bruno, it's before a love story more than a film about art.
Yeah, that's very clear. It's a beautiful love story and heartbreaking, and one that frightens the hell out of a lot of us creeping up towards our Jubilee birthday. So, no, but beautiful work. Really, thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Merci.
So, sister from Shiki.
Suchi, yeah.
Yeah. Really a delicate balance here. You lure us in with this story of a brother and a sister having a typical, sibling relationship, and then you pull the rug out from under us. Now, you actually are a second child, though?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, yeah. Well, I know. I was born and raised in China during the '90s, and then definitely like as a second child during that time was like really rare experience. And then when my friends like find out I have a brother, they always ask me, "What does it feel like to grow up with a sibling?" Because most of them didn't have a chance to grow up with sibling, so I always like tell the story of me and my brother like to them to tell them, they are, and then so like eventually I want to make a film about like siblings just to show them, what it feel like to grow up with a sibling. And then when I started to develop the script, and I know like for me personally, I know, the stories of siblings that like basically the first half of the movie was based on my experience of growing up with my brother. I I actually interview him a lot about his feelings. That's why the little sister in the film is so annoying.
Did you guys really do a tooth tree?
Yeah, yeah. That's always in my imagination, like because I actually play a little bit of word game here. I know like not lots of people knows Chinese, but the Chinese character of teeth sounds exactly the same as sprout. That's where that confusion come from, because it's just in Chinese character, the teeth on top of the teeth there's this grass. You put a little bit of grass on the top, then it becomes sprout. That's why it's like lots of Chinese children was like mistaking it as teeth is gonna grow up on the tree because they're gonna sprout. Yeah.
Okay, why felt? I mean, it's lovely, it's soft, but wow, it just looks crazy to work with.
Yeah, felt is it's a really interesting material to work with in stop motion. I think originally, like when I just started to make this film, I wasn't sure like what the style is gonna be like, the visuals and the materials, because animation has so many possibilities. Like you kind of have to explore through the making of the film. And then I did like at the beginning, I did try like 2D. I tried draw like illustrations, and I did like use some clay to make the puppets, too. And then in the end, I just like going back, just think back, my childhood, because the film is mostly about childhood. And then I did lots of like Chinese ink painting. When I was a kid, my friend, my mom sent me to study that when I was a kid. And then so that color palette of the Chinese ink painting, the black and white and a little bit red, just become, my memory of childhood. And then I want to create the imagery that looks similar with that. And then also like in the story too, that boy was actually drawing ink painting, so I put that drawing in front of every small stories. So I just like look for materials and then found out wool is really great material that I can, create this like gradient color of black and white, and then, just like I just feel like really fit the theme of the film, and then it looks really warm and fluffy in the film. That just like really resonate with the memory I want to create. So yeah, I guess it worked out pretty good.
Yes, it did. It did. Well, I want to thank you all very much for being here, and